Hey everybody, I know it's dark. I'm fixing to turn a light on where you can actually see what we're going to do. So I'm going to tell you guys a funny little story. I actually made the whole video, worked through the problems for your practice test, and then realized that I had not pushed record. So it happens sometimes. So I'm re-recording this, or I'm actually recording it for the first time for real. But when we look at as we look at the pages, some of the things I've already worked through, so you're going to see things that are highlighted, things that are checked off. So I'm going to go ahead and work through it again. And I'm sorry, that was a really scary close-up. You might have seen my nose hair. So what I'm going to tell you is the questions that you're going to work through today, case studies 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to work through 1 together. 2, 3, and 4 are you're going to work through the test that you have. They're going to be more like the problems from chapters 5 and 6 that you worked through, but they're going to be in this format you're looking at. I gave this format to my home students when they did this, and they kind of had a mini stroke because they had not seen it set up in this format. So your test review is going to be set up in the format that is like your test. Now, once again, it won't be the same questions, but it will be in this format. So when we look here, it's going to be set up in a case study format. Okay, they're going to be case studies, and they're going to give you case study 1, 2, 3, and 4 you're going to look at today. As you can tell, I've already highlighted and checked things off. If you read the directions, it tells you that these case studies are basically just they are basically just a to-do list. And that's how you have to think of it, as a to-do list. I'm trying to get that centered where you can see it. And you guys should be looking at it. Now, one of the things I'm going to tell you guys, when my students here at home took this test, like I'm going to encourage you, have a highlighter, have a pen, and have a pencil. Because you can mark things out with your pen. You can do the math and check things off on your list with a pencil. And you can highlight the important things. Okay? So that's what I've done here, and we're going to read through this case study, and we're going to go through the 5 questions. So, case study 1 says a patient is admitted to the hospital with a diagnosis of dyspnea, which means shortness of breath, peripheral edema, swelling to the extremities, with a 10-pound weight gain and a history of congestive heart failure. The orders from the physician include, so this is just a to-do list. Bed rest. So what we're going to do is you're going to check off the things that don't have anything to do with medication. Now you see I highlighted 10-pound weight gain. That might be important. Weight and weight changes in the scenario might be important. So I would highlight that. Then as we go down the list, we can check off things, or you could mark them out, whatever you want to do when you're taking your test or you're working through these, that don't have anything to do with drug calculations or dose calculations. So bed rest, that's just an order. Bed rest in Fowler's position, that's just at a 95-degree angle. I'm sorry, it's at an upright 90-degree angle. Semi-Fowler's is in a 45-degree angle. So patient's going to be on bed rest, sitting up. They're going to have oxygen O2 at 4 liters per minute on a nasal cannula. So that's just oxygen that we're going to put on the patient. Chest x-ray, CBC, electrolyte panel, which is a CMP, BUN, serum creatinine level, and a digoxin level. Those are all labs and x-rays. We're going to put those in the computer, order them for the patient. The next one says, and I've got part of it marked out, and you'll see why here in a minute, IV of D5W half normal saline, that's what under that mark says, you guys can see that, at 50 milliliters an hour. Well, that has to do with a drug or something I might need to do with, so 50 milliliters an hour, I'm highlighting. Daily morning weight, okay, we're going to put that in as an order in the computer so that in the morning they know to do that. Anti-embolism stockings, we're going to go down and put TED hose on the patient. Then we have a medication, furosemide. Furosemide is also Lasix. That is the generic of Lasix. 40 milligrams IV. Digoxin, and that is the generic of Lanoxin, in case they ask us that one. 0.125 milligrams PO daily, KCL or KDUR. And I'm just giving you the trade names for them also. 20 milliequivalents PO TID, because we're giving them Lasix, so we got to give them potassium. Low sodium diet, okay, we'll put that in for dietary. Restriction of PO fluids, 1,500 milliliters a day. So if there is something like that on there, I might not check that off because they may ask us questions like how many milliliters of fluid can the patient have per meal? Something like that. So I would leave that on there. Vital signs every 4 hours, we're going to put that in, and we're going to have our CNA help us with that, along with the accurate intake and output. They want to know how much the patient eats and drinks, and also how much they urinate or bowel movements they have. So our first question under that says, as you can tell, I've already worked it out, calculate drops per minute using the 60 drops per milliliter IV tubing. Oops, wrong direction. Okay, so you guys can see my hand? Yep. Okay, so we're going to figure out what we've got. So up there, and I'm going to tell you, each question is going to go in the order from top to bottom. All of them, the questions, question 1 will go, it'll go in order, okay? So the first thing it says calculate drops per minute. Well, we have 50 milliliters of D5W ordered, right? So our order is 50 milliliters per hour, right? And what they're telling us to do our supply would be our IV tubing to get drops per minute, and it is 60 drops per milliliter. Okay, so we're going to set that up just like all of our other problems. Our order goes first, 50 milliliters per 1 hour. And what we have is 60 drops per milliliter. And what we're looking for is drops per minute, right? That's what we've got to find in the end. So we have our order. Now what we have on hand is drops per milliliter. So we're going to put our drops on top, right? And milliliter on the bottom because we got to get rid of our milliliter. Okay, so we've got our drops. But now we have to get our minutes. So we need to get rid of our 1 hour. So we know 1 hour equals 60 minutes. Get rid of our hour. We get rid of our hour. Now we have drops per minute left, right? Okay, so we multiply across the top. 50 times 60 is 3,000. And we're going to 1 times 1 times 60 is 60. And so when we divide that out, we get 50, right? 50 drops per minute. Okay, so it's 50 drops per minute. Now, when you write that out, you do have to show your work, okay? So when you write that out on your test and on your work you're going to turn in for Miss Ruth, it should look like this. It should look like I worked it all the way out. Okay? So you should show your work. Just like I wrote on here, you should show it on there. Okay, our next question says, calculate the weight gain in kilograms. So up in the top, we saw that it showed that our patient had gained 10 pounds, right? A 10-pound weight gain. So we have 10 pounds for one patient, and we know that 1 kilogram equals 2.2 pounds, right? So we get rid of our pounds. And our patient, when we get 10 divided by 2.2. So when we divide that, we get 4.5454 or 4.55 kilograms. Oh, bless it. I forgot to roll it down. So that's what it looks like when it's worked out. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't realize that I hadn't rolled it out. So our patient weighs 4.55 kilograms. Okay. Now we're going to work number 3. And I'm going to show you where I've highlighted, so I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. So it says calculate how many milliliters. So we know we're calculating milliliters. Let me write that over here. Of Lasix, the patient will receive IV from a multi-dose vial labeled 10 milligrams per milliliter. Okay, so that gave us our supply. So we have order and supply. Right, it gave us our supply. So what we have on hand is 10 milligrams per 1 milliliter. And if we look back on our order page, right there it says furosemide. Trying to make it not squiggly. You guys can see that. 40 milligrams IV daily. Now, like I said, I highlight those things so I know what I potentially am going to need. So what we have ordered is 40 milligrams. Okay, so we're going to set it up. 40 milligrams. And for one patient or one dose. And what we have on hand is 1 milliliter and 10 milligrams, right? So we have 40 divided by 10, which equals 4, right? So we're going to give 4 milliliters of Lasix every day. All right, so that's number 3. We're going to work 4 and 5 real quick. And then you guys are going to work the rest of them. So 4 says, calculate how many tabs, so we've got to put tabs, of digoxin the patient will receive from a unit dose of 0.25 milligrams per tab. So that's our supply, 0.25 milligrams per tab. And when we look back on our order sheet, in our order list, it says digoxin. What is ordered is 0.125 milligrams. So we're going to put our order here. And what we have on hand is 1 tab that equals 0.25 milligrams. Get rid of our milligrams. We have our tabs left. That's what we need. So 0.125 divided by 0.25 equals 0.5. So we're going to give a half a tab, 0.5 tabs. Okay? Now we're going to work number 5. And then you guys are going to work the rest of them. The other 3 case studies. This will help you practice for your test. All right, number 5 says, how many tabs, so it's already asking for tabs. We know our answer is going to be in tabs, of K-Dur, which is that potassium. Calculate how many tabs of K-Dur the patient will receive from a unit dose of 10 milliequivalents per tab. So our supply is 10 milliequivalents per tab. And our order on our to-do list says 20 milliequivalents PO/TID. 20 milliequivalents PO 3 times a day. But it just wants to know per dose. Now, you know, it might ask you later on how many tabs you're going to give the whole day. But we're going to figure tabs per dose. So our order is 20 milliequivalents. And what we have on hand is 1 tab that is 10 milliequivalents. So we're going to get rid of our milliequivalents. We have 20 divided by 10, which equals 2 tabs. Okay, guys? So that's how we're going to work through that. You're going to work through the rest of them. If you have questions, please be sure you're emailing me before your test, or you're telling me I don't understand this so I can make you another video, or whatever it is you guys are needing. Okay, y'all work through those and you'll have your test next week. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you soon.